In the heart of Australia, a father and son walk across the reddish-orange earth dotted with scrub bushes. The man and boy are Aborigines, a people who have lived on this continent for at least 40,000 years. Thousands of years of close and careful observation of their environment have equipped Aborigines for survival on this mostly flat, mostly desert continent. The father stops to examine the earth. To the unpracticed eye, this spot is no different from any other spot on the red earth. He motions to his son. The boy begins stamping on the ground with his bare foot, raising little clouds of red dust. The father joins in, and soon the thumping sends lizards scurrying into the scrub bushes. Father and son suddenly stop their foot stamping and listen for the sound they've been hoping to hear, the croaking of frogs, muffled beneath the earth. From their burrows under the surface, desert frogs thought they were hearing the sound of thunder, signaling rain to come. In a real rainstorm, the frogs would emerge from their burrows and drink water from rain pools, filling their bodies almost to bursting. Then they would retreat to their burrows and use the water stored in their bodies until the next storm. But the man and boy have fooled the frogs. They use sticks to dig in the earth until they each pull out a frog, its body bloated with water. Tilting their heads back, they squeeze the frogs until a stream of liquid squirts out, flowing down the Aborigines' parched throats. 2/3 of Australia is arid or semi-arid, with few rivers and little rain. The interior of the continent, mostly desert, is called the outback. The outback is so dry in some regions that it seems impossible that any creature could survive there. Most of the desert land is covered with sand hills and spotted with short grasses. Sands often swirl into huge dunes. There is not much water in the outback, but, after a rain, rocky pools sometimes fill up. These pools are important sources of water. Water also collects in pools in old riverbeds, places the Australians call billabongs, dry stream beds that fill with water only in the rainy season. Sudden, heavy rains can briefly fill old riverbeds and lakes, but the water quickly washes down the riverbed, and the lakes dry out, leaving salt flats. This dry land supports many animals not found anywhere else, such as the emu, a large flightless bird weighing as much as 100 pounds. Many of the unique creatures are marsupials, such as the kangaroo. Marsupials are well adapted to the desert conditions, primarily because they require less food than most other mammals. Kangaroos can survive on less food because it takes less energy to hop on their two hind legs than it takes to run on four legs. Today only a few Aborigines who live in the Australian deserts have preserved the traditional way of life. However, before the Europeans came to Australia and disrupted their culture, the Aborigines proved that human beings can survive in even the most unforgiving climate. According to Aborigine myth, the world was created during the dream time, a time before time. The things of earth were created by ancestral beings, who walked the earth singing out the name of each thing as they created it. They sang into existence the water holes, the gum trees, the riverbeds, the sand dunes. Everywhere they walked, they sang, leaving a trail of song behind them. Once the world was created and named, the beings joined with nature, becoming one with it. The beings themselves disappeared, but they left their songs. This is the Aborigine myth of how their songlines came into being. These songlines, or songs, have been passed by word of mouth from generation to generation for thousands of years and were key to the Aborigines' knowledge of how to survive in their desert world. The songlines are literally maps of the land in that they name and locate familiar places. Aborigines were originally nomadic hunters and gatherers. Small bands of people wandered a territory that could be as large as 1,000 square miles. By singing the songs, they could find the food and water necessary for survival. Their songlines were like maps that led them to rocky pools of water 100 miles away, or to places where they could find wild plant foods in season, or to rich hunting grounds. A single Aborigine man on a walkabout, or wandering journey, might reach the edge of the territory described in his songlines. He would then ask the group of Aborigines in the adjoining territory to teach him their songlines. He could then safely travel long distances in the harsh desert, finding food and water by using the musical map of the songlines.